All right. Good afternoon. Happy Thursday, August 28th. Welcome to the weekly webinar. We're rounding out August with another great session, which I'll tell you about in just a moment. In the meantime, please make sure you are muted and you can use the closed caption feature if you'd like. There's a button at the bottom of your screen that says show captions that you can employ as you choose to. I remembered to press record. So we'll have this posted later this afternoon. And I believe those are all of the housekeeping notes for now. Use the chat if you have questions or comments, and I will keep my eye on that. While our speaker for today, Michelle Dillon, gives us some good information. I'll tell you a bit about Michelle. She's going to talk about a program called Care4All, about respite care, and she'll tell you more details. Michelle is the Jayhawk Area Agency on Aging Caregiver Support Specialist. So she's over in, Michelle, are you in Topeka or Lawrence?
Our office is in Topeka, but I work from home in Lawrence.
That's what I thought. Okay, so she's just a little bit to the west of me and to the east of some of you and all the directions. I know Michelle does great work. We met, gosh, when I was a state employee before, which was in like 2011. And those of you who got on to the webinar a little bit early got to hear a little bit of our conversation. Michelle confirmed my memory that we have the same birthday. So March 14th in the house. And I'm very proud that I remembered that because it means I know my own birthday and I remembered somebody else's for like a long time. So there's a memory tip for you today. But back to Michelle. She's going to tell us about the Care4All program, which is powered by volunteers and is currently offered in Lawrence, Topeka, and Valley Falls. And she'll tell us more, but participants get to do things like art and music and exercise, and they have dementia, and caregivers get a break. So it's a win-win for everybody concerned. I will stop there because Michelle's going to tell you all the good details. Welcome, Michelle, to the weekly webinar. We are excited to hear from you.
Hello, how
Hi.
are you? I was going to put a picture on, but I don't know if I know how to do that. Oh, that's okay. So basically, I got approached a couple of years ago by a caregiver who used to live in Montgomery, Alabama. And in Montgomery, they had a program called Respite for All, which was a church-based respite program for caregivers. It is a 4-hour-a-day program, and it is church-based, volunteer-based, which means we can keep the price low. It's non-medical, and it's a good place for folks to feel that they are still part of the community. I've retired nurses, I have EMTs, I have all kinds of volunteers. But at any rate, she approached me because she had moved her mom here and they wanted to start a program here, even though her mom was beyond doing that at this point. And actually they approached Lawrence Parks and Rec, which in turn told them to call me. So after speaking with several people, and taking about 6 months to a year to get it started, my director was like, run with it, do what you can. We've had it going on for about 2 years in Lawrence and 1 year in Topeka, and not very long in Valley Falls, although that one is on hold at the moment because our only participant went to a facility. But anyway, really how it works is Lawrence is Tuesdays and Fridays, and Topeka is Mondays and Thursdays, and it's from 10 to 2. It's $40 for the day, which is like $10 an hour. Lunch is included with that. And not only that, but we do have the state Kansas Alzheimer's grant, the KRED grant, that they can use to pay for the first 20 or 25 sessions. So really, it's a good opportunity for caregivers to get some inexpensive respite. It is non-medical, so they have to be able to feed themselves, toilet themselves. So it's not really for late stage, but it's for that all important stage where they're starting to wander and need some redirection and need some socialization and all those kinds of things for the caregiver to get out. We have the picture I wanted to show. We play balloon volleyball. We do art. We do, yeah, right. We do bean bags. We do trivia. I mean, we do all kinds of fun things. And in essence, we treat the person and not the disease. So when folks come in, everybody has a name tag with their first name. So the volunteers and the participants all have the same name tag with their first name. So nobody knows who is who, and that is the point. So they're all friends, and if we have a dice game or something and somebody needs a little extra assistance, we just put them with a partner and they play together. And so that's how it works. And then everybody feels like they're respected, they're contributing. And it is very, very helpful to the caregivers. They can do doctor's appointments. They can do whatever they need to do for that 4 hours. We have some folks that just come once a week. We have some folks that come every other. We only bill for the days that they're there. And like I said, lunch is included. So it's a pretty good deal for 4 hours for them to get lunch and things like that. So that is the gist of the program. I am trying to get the word out because I know that our Topeka one is growing really well. I could use some more folks in Lawrence because my Lawrence people, I used to have 11, but they move on as they decline. So I'm trying to get the word out because I know that there's folks out here in Lawrence and Topeka and in Jefferson County that can really use it. Like I said, the first 25 sessions we can get paid for so they could try it out. So there's really, nothing to lose. Most of the time it works. Some of the time, I mean, we had a couple the other day it's not going to work for because he just got agitated both times he was there. So, we really, and usually what I do is for the very first one, I don't even have them fill out any paperwork or any application. I just have them come in and check it out to see how they do. I usually have the caregiver stay with them the first hour or two so that they know that this is someplace they can be. And, it doesn't work if they just drop them off at the door and say, bye. So they usually stay with them the first hour or two for the first one. I don't charge for the first one. I don't have them do any paperwork. I just have them come in and check it out to see how it goes. And then we go from there. And then when they need to move on in their journey, I kind of help with those resources and give them other options for in-home or assisted living or those kinds of things. So there you are. That's it in a nutshell.
That is an amazing program. Everything
I love
I've heard. Yes.
Yeah, and I so appreciate our executive director just saying you go for it and run with it, and
I love it. I have questions, but please don't let me take over. There's a question in the chat. We'll go to that one first. I love this question. How can we start one closer to Olathe, Kansas?
I'm happy to get you started. Really, how I started is, in a nutshell, is I found a church. Well, in Douglas County, it was the two folks from Grace Presbyterian that came to me. So we had it there. And then when I started it in Topeka, I had to find a church that was willing to hold it. Doesn't need to be held in a church, but that's kind of the aspect of the program. So if there's a building that's willing to hold it, and not charge you, Grace Presbyterian charges us nothing. Christ Lutheran charges us basically $25 a month, which is like a quarter of what they would usually charge for events. So that's kind of their help and their participation. They're going to have to check on their insurance and all of those things. And from there, I have all of the information on the applications from the group. Respite for All is respiteforall.org kind of has all of the information on how to start it in your community. So you could go to their website and they have the paperwork and the videos and the trainings and all of that are included on their website. So I think you have to pay to get the training, but it's well worth getting it started. And that they have, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. They have all of the applications that you just kind of switch out and put a different address on, and all of that is the same. Yeah, respiteforall.org. That's it.
Perfect. I just dropped that link in the chat, and I'm assuming, Michelle, that might mean there are similar programs beyond Kansas, like Alabama or Hawaii
Yes.
or somewhere else.
They have several across the country.
Okay.
And always want to open more.
Wonderful. Well,
it's based on that program, and that's where we got all of our applications and all of that from.
That's good. I remember saying when I announced that you were coming, Michelle, to the group, that I knew some people not in Topeka, et cetera, would say, what about us? So I'm so glad to know that we can look at Respite for All to see what other options might be available. And I love the idea of using our voices to speak up in our communities, right where we are, wherever we are, to say, hey, what if we did this? I mean, that's how so many great ideas get started. And I see that we have a comment that says there was something similar in Georgia. So there's the evidence, there's the proof. Michelle, I have a lot of questions, actually. The question in the chat is kind of one of my questions. So let's go to this one. And that is, who makes the lunch? How is it provided? And my question is, what is it? Because I didn't have lunch today, so I'm hungry.
So our lunch in Topeka is through Engroff Catering. And they were kind of easy to pick up because we have a Champs program here, which is our Jayhawks meal program. And we have several providers for that, and Engroff is one of them. So it was easy for us to transition to them. In Douglas County, we have one of our independent living communities who makes it on Tuesday. They don't charge us anything. And then on Fridays, the church has a gal that owns a company called OO Bakes, which is a gluten-free food source. And so she's picked up our Fridays, and then she just bills us $10 per meal, which is still very inexpensive. So yeah, you have to find when we first started, we basically just kind of had volunteers bring some things, or we kind of made our own meals because we didn't have that many people, and you're just making for like 6 or 7. So that's how we started it. And then we found some providers to help us out with it. So I know Johnson County has a Champs program, so they can probably work with some of their Champs providers to see how they would work with them. I think that's where we got ours, is from Johnson County. So
okay, so Johnson County, and I just put the link for the Johnson County Champs program. That's one I've known about for a while. So feel free to take a look at that. We have another question.
Do, Susan.
Yes,
they do charge.
So they usually do charge.
We ask no more than $10, so they're still getting a decent rate out of it. But if they start charging more than that, then I got to raise the price.
Yeah. Well, $40 a day, for 4 hours is fantastic price. So what a deal. What is your volunteer to participant ratio, Michelle? Like how many of each do you have at any given time, if that makes sense?
Yeah, in Douglas County, I have about 8 volunteers. So my ratio is like 1-to-1 basically, or I have more volunteers than participants. In Topeka, we have 3, we have 2 volunteers and my coordinator. So, and then we have about 6 participants. So it's pretty good. What we tell people is, even if you get 5 volunteers and 1 participant, start the group when you say you're going to start the group, because it doesn't really matter. Then you have 6 people. But the ratio is always very good. There's always plenty of volunteers to cover because they just love doing it. So
I bet. And I love your idea of the name tags, with everybody having the same name tag and not, isolating one group from another. I I hear from a lot of family caregivers, they say, well, I can't get my loved one to do something like that because they don't want to feel like they're going to a
Yeah,
babysitter, you know?
right.
So I
Yeah,
love to.
everybody, yeah, we all have the same, and that's part of that respite for all model.
Hmm.
You know, if you when you look at the training, that's kind of what they do there, is just so everybody's equal. And that's what I'm
Right.
saying. Even if you have one participant and 5 volunteers, they all just look like they're in the same group. So it doesn't really matter. You know,
Right.
we're all
So
drinking coffee.
yeah. Does that mean then that your volunteers tend to be older adults?
They tend to be older adults. In Lawrence, there's usually during the school year, since we have KU here, I could get a social work student or something to come on in. We are also lucky in Lawrence because Grace Presbyterian also does some homeschooling kids. So we every once in a while can get them to come in and participate as well. So we utilize what we've got.
I think that's great, and I can imagine that your participants would get a kick out of seeing anybody who's a volunteer, but especially maybe some young folks um, who would be willing to give their time and show them how to use their iPhone or whatever. Mr. Holtis, are you waving at me? You got a question?
Yes, I don't know that I missed this. Uh, what if we were considering this up here or to do it because we already have a support group going? Is there a hard copy outline of what they do that would be available? Specifically what the program is. In
Yes,
a hard copy summary that we could share with the group.
on the Respite for All website is where we got all of that information.
And your website is?
It's the respiteforall.org website that Kelly put in the chat.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's respite, and the word "for" is spelled out. I have
Okay.
learned. So respiteforall.org. And I can see on the website there's a phone number that you can call. There's a link that says "Start a group for yourself" or something like that.
Yeah,
Hard
and
to
I would rather it go through that because that's how we did it, and I don't want to take away from their foundational program and plus I'm doing it through our agency, and we only cover Douglas, Shawnee, and Jefferson. So I can't really train it outside of that. So that would be the best place to go.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's wonderful. Michelle, I know you mentioned that people can come for like one visit. They can come check it out and see how it goes. Do you do any other like official assessment or determination to see if someone is a good fit?
Yeah, there's an assessment. There's a verbal and visual assessment that I do. I mean, everybody is different. So I kind of just have those conversations with the caregiver to see where they are physically and mentally. I do part of the Respite for All does have a prospective participant worksheet where you can have them fill out some of those questions like their ADL needs and that kind of thing. But sometimes even if they qualify physically, they'll come in and on the program, they've got some mental health, behavioral issues that we maybe can't address. And then at that point, maybe I'll send them for a diagnostic test and then they can come back later, or they can come back further down the road if they're not quite ready. So I just had a person who the first time, and this happens all the time, first time they come, maybe they wander out, they're angry, they're not happy. And I usually always encourage them to try it again, either it be 1 week later, 1 month later, further down the road, that kind of thing, because they just might not be ready in the disease process yet. So a lot of it is just trial by error and sight, because they could do that ADL stuff, but some other
Yeah,
things going around.
that sounds very,
yeah.
very compassionate and flexible, which is always two good things to have as a
Yep.
caregiver. Can you tell
Right.
us more about that grant you mentioned, Michelle, the Kansas Alzheimer's grant?
So the Kansas grant is a state grant that offers $1,000 to anybody caring for somebody with an Alzheimer's diagnosis or a probable Alzheimer's diagnosis. So they don't even have to have the diagnosis, but if the doctor signs off and says, yeah, it probably is, that's good enough.
Okay.
And then that just comes back to me, and then we set them up on the program, and then we bill $1,000 automatically out of it. So it's statewide.
Gotcha.
And that is on the KDAD's website.
I just found it. Thank you. I'm going to put the link for that in the chat because I suspect some of these fine folks might want to.
Susan's question, I don't believe so. I believe it's Kansas only, but
Kansas
I can't
only.
answer that.
I can tell you that in Missouri, there's something somewhat similar. It's the Missouri Caregiver Program. And if y'all give me a second, I'll grab a link for that. We've had a webinar about the Missouri Caregiver Program earlier this year. I know we've got the information, so I will put that in there. If you're somewhere that's not in Kansas or Missouri, hang on and we'll get some information.
And she also asked about if we require a nurse or a medical person there. We don't require that, although I will tell you that we usually get a retired nurse to volunteer, but we don't require it because it's a non-medical program.
Gotcha. Okay. Very good. And so if people are paying just on their own, Michelle, to participate, or they're writing you a check or giving you cash or whatever it is, they pay by the session?
Yeah, so I'm fortunate that we have a finance person at Jayhawk, so I don't have to deal with any of that. So basically what I do is I take attendance, and then once a month she'll pull all of that, and then she will bill them for just the sessions they attended. So if I don't put them in the attendance, she doesn't bill them. So that's where that first day comes in. I don't even put it in the attendance that they were there.
Okay.
So yeah. Do I require? Yes. That is part of the paperwork. It's part of the paperwork on the Respite for All website that has part of what they sign as a contract is the release of responsibility. You allow us to take pictures. If you're going to go on an event, they allow for transportation. Those basic forms that you get for most day sessions.
Perfect. You answered a question I had kind of scribbled, and that was about transportation. So there are times when you might go somewhere and you provide transportation. Is that, am I hearing that right?
No, I'm just, it's part of the contract paperwork, but we ourselves don't have transportation with our programs. So we don't really offer that. I know that there's some that do. And you could, if you wanted to do a day trip or something like that. We do have a couple of folks that we use the senior center transportation or the community transportation to get them there and pick them up because family member works or something. And we work with that to get them there, but we don't provide transportation ourselves to and from.
Yes. And yes, to the question in the chat, can you get a copy of it so you can have all the links? Yes, I will do even one better. I will grab all of the links and I will put them in Monday's issue of the My Alliance newsletter. That way you'll have to read it. And then it will be in one place. So I will do that. And then I just started typing in the chat. If you're not in Kansas or Missouri, or even if you are, I've mentioned this site before, eldercare.gov. Is a resource that tells you what's going on in all 50 states. It links you to places like Michelle's, the Area Agency on Aging. For whatever zip code or county or parish, wherever you are, you can visit eldercare.gov and find out what's going on. Michelle, is your program listed on eldercare.gov? Do you know?
I don't know if it is yet. Where I was just at that caregiver conference, and got all the information for that. So hopefully it will be.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm basically trying to get the word out. So if people are from Lawrence or Topeka are coming to the med center, they can be directed here, because I know that there's people out there that need it. I just don't think that it's well known yet. I mean, it's fairly new in Topeka and Lawrence. It's only, I know 2 years seems like a lot, but you know, in the world of getting the word out, probably not. And we don't have a marketing budget, so it's not like we're going around spending $1 million trying to market it. So
yeah, we understand that word of mouth is so helpful. So all of you, even if this doesn't apply to you today, tell somebody for whom it might be helpful. I think the Jayhawk folks would appreciate it. We would at KU.
Yeah.
All of our loved ones would. So,
Uh,
help spread the word.
And I'm going to give you my work cell phone,
mm,
because that is easier to get a hold of me than
okay.
calling Jayhawk.
Okay.
So let me find that.
This is a real gift. Thank you, Michelle. I know I don't just give my phone number to anybody. So,
Yeah, well, it's a work cell, so it gets shut off. But it's 785
okay.
230
Okay.
1713, and they can bypass the reception at Jayhawk and just call me directly.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to put that in the chat. Please, everybody, use it responsibly. And reach out to Michelle if you have questions beyond today. I'm so happy that this exists. As you can tell from the energy in the comments, Michelle, this is something people are really eager to know about. And anybody who watches this recording later, you're welcome. We're glad to be able to provide this service for you. Any other questions from those of you who are watching live? Feel free to speak up or use the chat. We've got a couple more minutes. I will say while I'm giving you a little more time to ask questions, I saw somebody unmute, so feel free to just start talking and interrupt
I
me if
was
you
just
want
going
to.
to say, sure, sounds great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate this.
Oh, good, good. I agree. Now, what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say that next week's talk is going to be by Valerie Johnson, who some of you may remember did a webinar for us. I believe it was late 2023, but it might have been 24. I don't remember. It's been a while. And she did a webinar about oral care because in a previous life, she was a dental hygienist. She is now a certified senior advisor, which is a credential that says you know everything about aging ever. She doesn't know I'm saying that to you. And Valerie is now on the staff at the Alzheimer's Association Heart of America chapter as I think her title is something with programming. I'll know by next Thursday for sure, or Monday in the newsletter. Anyway, she's going to give us an update on what's going on over at the Alzheimer's Association, why she can be a certified senior advisor, and other things you need to know. So she'll be with us next Thursday, which is September 4th. September 4th already. I hear there's a few interesting things going on around that day. Mr. Holtis, I hope you will be with us on the 4th because your attention might be elsewhere on the 5th. Don't tell me you're going to Brazil with those fellas. If you do, you got to come back and tell us how it was. So anyway, next Thursday we'll have Valerie. Monday is Labor Day and KU8RFC will be closed, but you will still get the newsletter. How about that? You will still get the newsletter on Monday. I'm going to be writing it today and setting it up to go out tomorrow. So I am coming to you from the future and you will get that newsletter on Monday morning as always. And we'll have all these links that I promised you. And we'll have some other good stuff. So look forward to seeing you. And we've got a comment in the chat. If anybody else has an idea of a church or another organization to contact for Johnson County, speak up. You can, I can help facilitate that. Feel free to send an email to myalliance@kumc.edu. And then Susan, if you will also, I can put everybody together. Okay. Debbie, are you waving your hand at me? I can't tell. Sorry, I don't mean to call you out. You're just saying hi. Okay. Yes. To the person who asked me directly, is our Zoom number always the same? Yes, that is a little known secret about these Zooms. We send you a link every Monday in the newsletter that says join, click here to join on Thursday, but you can literally click on any link in any newsletter anytime, and it will always bring you to the weekly webinar. We don't change it. That's one less thing for me to have to remember. That's the real truth. Okay. So yes, you can always use that Zoom number. Oh, there's a suggestion in the chat. Maybe St. Lawrence at KU might be a possibility. I love that. Michelle, any final thoughts or anything else you want us to know? No pressure.
No, I don't think so. Well, okay. I'm not sure the KU campus. We already have one in Lawrence, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
anyway.
It's good to brainstorm. It's good to, get the wheels turning and think about ways that we can be supportive of each other. That's exactly why we do this. So, all right, folks. Well,
but yeah, if anybody has and if you have specific questions on how to start one, I'm more than happy to do that, because you could watch the videos and all of that, but still have some questions. So yeah, I believe we're the only ones in Kansas that are doing it. So bring it on.
Okay. Anyone's in Kansas, let that be a challenge to, oh, I don't know, the Wildcats or no, I shouldn't start naming names. But let that be a challenge to the rest of Kansas and the rest of the country to think about with how
Challenge
we can.
accepted for North Central Kansas.
All right, bring it on there, buddy.
And I love it. All my trash talking is done in love, I promise. All right, folks. Thank you so much. We will wrap up for now. We'll see you next Thursday. Have a great long holiday weekend, and we'll see you back next week. Bye-bye. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.